Hello everyone, and welcome back to Strife Veteran Edition, where last time we played, I mentioned that I thought it was odd that I didn't see an enemy here because I usually do somewhere here in the water. Turns out it was odd, and I assume that when we double checked to see if this enemy was here, he was just around the wall, just around the level load trigger, so that's how we ended up missing that one. It doesn't really matter ultimately, but I thought it was funny. Either way, moving on into the castle.
We have conflicting reports about the programmer's location. One says he's in a computer room, another that he's hiding in a keep, and yet another that mentions a long hallway. Sorry.
So the front is going to help us fight the enemies. There is a couple new enemy types here. First of all is the enemy that just shot a bunch of rockets at me, which we'll deal with in just a moment. It is called the Crusader. It has a flamethrower attack and a rocket attack. And if you have an environmental suit, then you are immune to their fire attacks. So
Give 'em hell, guys.
all in all, it is actually kind of not a terrible idea to use those environmental suits when you get close to them, because yeah, that fire attack does hurt a decent amount. Plus you can just melee them to death almost. The downside is that when they die, they explode and they deal a little bit of damage if you are standing next to them, so you do have to be a little bit careful. But as you can see, the front is dealing with these enemies fairly effectively. I will first go in this direction right here. Let me just use my flamethrower on this one Crusader. They do die pretty quickly to flamethrowers ultimately, so it doesn't matter too much. I'm actually not sure what's up here. Let's just quickly peek around, but it doesn't appear to be that much hanging out in this particular section, but you can go up here. A little bit of extra castle. We can deal with that enemy right there. There is hopefully no more Crusaders alive, and once all the Crusaders are dead, we can take the regular path over here, and it will lower all of these walkways that the Crusaders were standing on. And I find it's a little bit easier to kill them while they're still sort of stuck on those little walkways than to try to kill them at any other point, so just makes life a little easier. This right here leads back to that sewer section where we were previously, in the previous video, and with this elevator we can go up to this section. Hopefully they don't block the elevator, and indeed they, well, I was gonna say indeed they didn't, but I am actually, wow. I was completely stuck, and then I flew up, and I don't know what's going on. This, I think it's a spy. Something weird is happening with these front soldiers, but for some reason I just kept getting stuck inside them. Very unusual. Fair enough, it doesn't matter. The front doesn't really care if I decimate all their forces, fortunately, so they just keep being on my side, and I for one can appreciate it. So with that joy in mind, that door up there doesn't work, this one does. And when I say it doesn't work, I mean that it'll just say you don't have the key when you try to open it, and the key doesn't exist, so it's a little unfortunate. You don't need to go here for kills specifically, but you can sometimes get some extra bullets over here because the front is pretty good at dealing with all the enemies that would maybe spawn here, so you don't really have to worry about it. But there is some extra sections over here, one med kit that we can't hold, and one of these doors leads to an interesting area, but right now I'm struggling to find it. There we go.
Good. Computers? Programmer? What do you think?
Might be the one.
Programmer? Who told you that? There is no programmer. That story was spread ages ago. Don't tell me the front actually believed that crap. Idiots.
Dead end here. We better keep looking.
Rude.
I told you all I know. You're wasting your time.
So, he's rude, but he's technically not a monster, so we're just gonna leave him alone, but, you know, it was not very nice of him ultimately. But it was not the real programmer that we were looking for, so we're just going to be on our way back outside and through the regular route. I'm taking this place in sections so it's a bit easier to figure out where we are. Also, this level, later on, you won't be able to return to this particular one, and a couple coming up ahead as well. So make sure you actually get everything done here before you move on, because at some point you won't be able to come back here anymore. The front is just hanging out here. It's kind of difficult to tell the difference between the front and the order, unfortunately, from a distance, because their outfits do look very similar, but yeah, as long as you keep an eye out, then it's usually not too bad. Couple of Crusaders here, couple of Stalkers in the water. It can be a little tricky to figure out whether or not you've gotten all the kills just because the front ends up killing so many enemies that usually most of them are just going to be dead just due to the front just attacking them. So they're very useful friends for sure. Anyway, trying to get this last Crusader. He was severely hurt, but he died in the end. In this water section, you can go to some Stalkers that have gotten stuck inside each other, so that's nice. Over here, you can jump into the water, and down here, occasionally, theoretically, probably there could be an enemy here. He does spawn here, but he usually just leaves that area alone before you can get here, so it's fairly unlikely that there is actually someone there. But with that in mind, we can move on. Bunch of front soldiers here dealing with the Crusader in the distance there. Hopefully we can help them out a little bit because Crusaders those rockets do kill the front pretty quickly, so you have to be at least a little bit careful with it.
This must be the long hallway. Either that or my sense of scale is shot to hell.
There is indeed a long hallway here. This leads to an optional area where technically you don't need to go to, but it does give you a health and accuracy upgrade when you complete it. So we're gonna go there, just to make sure that we get that, because those are very useful upgrades. In the training facility, immediately we are greeted with a bunch of robots and turrets and whatnot. This place is kind of worth visiting, even if you're not gonna go for the upgrades either. Just due to the armory over here, because the armory is filled to the brim with extra bullets for all of your weapons, basically. So it's a very good place to go. There's a bunch of bullets waiting for us, a whole bunch of grenades that are going to be useful. Over here is plenty of ammo for your machine gun. I'm just going to leave the rest over here because it'll be useful later. Several armors, targeters, one targeter, rockets, environmental suits, like everything you could possibly want. The start of this section has it, so definitely worthwhile. This side door leads to a couple of acolytes. Not really being too bothered about my health because it's very unlikely that we're actually going to run out of it, but let's use some med patches every now and then to make sure that's true. And after that we can move on with the level. There is one acolyte waiting for us and one person.
Oh no, I'm not the real programmer. He's hiding. Continue past the guard training area. Very tough. If you survive, you might be able to talk to him, or kill him.
You'd think I'd get tired of all this killing everyone stuff, but I know I'm gonna miss it when it's over.
Blackbird has nothing to do with the
You'll
killing.
never find anything if you hang around here.
That is actually accurate. But yeah, Blackbird doesn't, to my knowledge, she doesn't really kill that many people. It's mostly just me, but yeah. I guess it's also not me, it's Strife guy technically, so you know, who's talking about technicalities at the end of the day. There is a turret right there. It can be a little damaging if you shoot him from here, but fair enough. There is some enemies in the little up areas. And when you walk all the way to the end of this hallway, it is going to lower some barriers and show some sentinels. This button right here almost certainly serves a purpose. I'm genuinely not sure what it does, and I probably should have looked into it because I thought that it would open these two side doors, but apparently it doesn't even do that. But press those two switches for the sake of opening this door, and then we can move on. This section is odd for a number of reasons. There is a couple switches that we need to hit before we can move on. They are all up here. If you do this small jump, then you can fairly easily get to the two switches that help you hit the actual two switches that you need to hit. And then you can just jump back down here again. There's a switch over there and a switch over there. If you use this teleporter, then you can just go towards it. But ultimately, this is a Doom Engine game, and you can just sort of push him from down here instead if you so desire. There is, however, one switch right here. It'll reveal a Crusader. Pretty much insta-killed by the grenades, fortunately. Pressing that button will also raise these pillars, so it's a little bit easier to reach these switches in a normal fashion. Walking up ahead, you get teleported into the maze, and the maze is something that I have not prepared very well, but hopefully we're going to be okay. First of all, Gonna go here into this walkway, kill one acolyte, and then we're gonna walk all the way back again. I'm taking a route that I hopefully remember correctly to kill all of them, because this is also one of the sections you won't be able to continue back to in the future. So it's very good to get everything done here, because this is our only chance to actually get this stuff done over here. Ultimately, the goal of this place is to open this door. It's a set of 3 doors, and with every button you press, you open up a little bit more of the maze. Like right now, we can't go in here, but once we press a button, we can. And we are definitely not taking the optimal route specifically for that purpose. We are very much going through this for the sake of trying to destroy all the enemies. There is one sentinel in that little up area right there. It can be reached from 2 different locations. Usually, you'll find that particular sentinel right here, because that is where that hole leads. A little bit further up ahead, I think this usually houses an enemy as well, but I guess he walked off. There's another acolyte right there. And before you know it, we can just follow the right wall, and eventually we should get all the way back to the teleporter where we started. There's a couple acolytes up there, we'll deal with them later. Instead, for now, we're gonna take this path right here. This is pretty much the optimal path, because this is the first switch you need to press to open up a little bit more of the maze. Once you press this, it's gonna make the maze more miserable, which is unfortunate, because of these holes that appear. If you fall down one of these holes, you instantly die, so try to avoid that, but you do need to jump over these holes to continue with this maze ultimately. This is usually the point where I get slightly more lost than I probably should. There is that tiny door that we saw previously that we have to go through. And, I could argue that I'm just doing this to make sure that we've gotten all the kills up to this point. It would be a blatant lie, but it's technically arguable in a case, I would imagine. But now that we are we've effectively run in a circle, let's actually go to the door that has opened after pressing that switch, which, of course, as we all know, we do not need a map. This is the exit, so this is where the staircase is. That fortunately took barely any time, and no one noticed a thing about me being lost. If you press a switch, you can see that door open, and you'll see that another part of that puzzle, I guess, has been solved. We can now go back to the original teleporter. There is now a wall here that has opened. Previously, this was just an elevator that went nowhere. Kill some of these acolytes while we wait. There is some stalkers waiting for us. A couple of grenades, a machine gun turret, and another acolyte. Nothing we can't handle. And at the very end here, there is one final switch which we can use to open the door, so we can actually leave this place. So now if we simply return back to the door that is now opened, you can see that's where we came from earlier, and we teleported into that teleporter. If we press this, we get all our health back, we get some extra accuracy, our stats have gone up, and theoretically we should be done with this level now. I will just real quick go back here where we left the ammo earlier, and with all of that done, we can leave the training ground and go back to the main castle area. Now, as we move back here, let's go in this direction because it's the only one that works. Occasionally there might still be some crusaders alive here and there, but as you can see, the front has been dealing with so much stuff. So ordinarily, unless you actually hear gunfire like you did right there, there probably is no one left alive. There's actually a lot of front soldiers still alive. They have a tendency to just kind of die. But this time around, they're actually doing pretty well at surviving. That's surprising for sure. Anyway, let's go in this building.
This is all the hallmarks of a temple of evil. Severe architecture, big banner. I say bingo.
Bingo indeed. So here is the audience chamber. When you open the first door, we come across a new enemy type called the Reaver. He died instantly because we shot grenades at him, but he was behind that crusader that we were actually shooting at. We'll see more Reavers as the game progresses. It's a different enemy type that also uses hit scan weapons, so all in all, Nothing we can't handle so far. We have plenty of health to deal with everything, and as you can see, they die fairly quickly. There is a bunch of acolytes in this section. Occasionally, they can kind of sneak up behind you because all of these doors require a silver key. You can jump up here, so you can sneak up on them instead. Which works well enough, I would say. But they can just open the doors from this side. I mean, you can even open the doors from this side. It's just that when you try to do it from this side, it'll say you need a silver key instead. So just keep that in mind, I suppose. These enemies can be a little tricksy when they suddenly open the door and sneak up behind you like that. It's actually pretty well done. Anyway, moving along, there is some traps here. They're a little unusual in that if you're running fast through the hallway, you might actually just miss that you walk past a trap, and if you're walking slow like that, then there's immediately a button that removes the trap entirely. But if you do fall down that hole when it's all the way lowered, then you do die instantly, so it's a bit of a worry. If you jump on top of this box from this direction, then the bed will lower for a med kit and a shadow armor, which is the same as a shadow sphere in Doom. It makes you temporarily invisible. Which is obviously really good in this game because most of the enemies are hit scan enemies. But the downside is occasionally there's an enemy that shoots rockets, and having them shoot rockets erratically isn't good. So it'll be used every now and then maybe, but I don't really have any spots where I can think of to really be happy about it. Anyway, this control panel, as you can see, the left side is slightly differently aligned than the rest of this control panel. This right here. If we use it, it'll open some doors for another secret area. There is an enemy inside this pillar. You can go in inside it as well, but there's nothing else for you there. Another surgery kit, some more med kits as well. And some more poison bolts, which I actually don't know how many I have. I have 19. That's fine, I suppose. And we can talk to this person that's hanging out right here.
You killed all the guards. Don't hurt me. I told him this was a dumb idea. The real programmer's in the keep. Here, take this key.
You're the programmer.
Do I look like I wield ultimate power? The Order uses us all. Now go, I'm dead already.
Fair enough. But he does give us the silver key, which we can use to, for one, open that tiny empty room inside the front's base. But it also has some other uses. There is also, in this room, 2 walls that you can open. In multiplayer, there would be items here. In single player, unfortunately, there is only some stalkers, but it's still some extra enemies we can fight, so it's kind of worthwhile. With the silver key, you can also open up the throne. It has a few more poison bolts, another ammo satchel, this time for free, so if you didn't have one yet, you can get one right there, which is nice. Doubles your ammo capacity at the end of the day. Only the first time, unfortunately, but it does give you some extra ammo as well afterwards, so it's still not a bad deal for sure. With silver key in hand, we can go into the hospital. I genuinely don't recall if you need the silver key for anything here, but with the silver key, you can definitely get everywhere, so all in all, that's a pretty good deal. There is a lot of health items in the hospital, including another surgery kit. And now we have entirely maxed out on healing items, so all in all, that's a pretty good deal. There is a person here that does not care for us, so we're just going to leave him alone. And I think this area also usually has some items in multiplayer, but in single player, it's more like a strange experimental chamber or something like that. Not really sure. But either way, we're going to leave this place through this door. There is usually another gun turret and sometimes some more acolytes still alive, and today is no exception. None of these doors work, so you don't really need to worry about it. And yeah, the front's got a really good handle on things today. It's very impressive. Cool. They seem to all just be following me around, so very nice. Makes me feel safe. There is a couple more places we can go, but I guess really most notably just over here. Occasionally there's still some acolytes alive here, but given how the rest is going, I assume, yeah, they're probably all dead at this point. You can press, well, similarly on this side, you can press those buttons to lower the wall to get further into the castle. I also think you need the silver key to actually get into these doors. But if we press this button, we can shoot the Crusaders on the other side with some grenades. Very nice. That killed most of the front, and that's why I'm surprised that they're all still alive. Because we have fought a lot of Crusaders, and really they mostly die against a single rocket, so yeah, quite surprising, all things considered. Just gonna do one final sweep of the area just to make sure that we're not hearing anything. But most likely I would say that everything is dead at this point and we can just move on. But it never hurts to double check. Most notably again because at the end of the day we really cannot go back here later. So it's really good to make sure that everything's gone. There do tend to be Crusaders in this area, but it does seem like, yeah, the front race really had a good handle on things today. Genuinely surprised. Anyway, going all the way back here, I'm assuming the wall has not yet closed. Yeah, surprisingly enough. Usually the wall closes after a bit. This time it didn't. Not sure why. You can usually use these buttons to then lower it again, but yeah, the wall just stayed lowered. Fair enough. Probably a good reason for that I am unaware of.
When the going gets weird, the weird get going. Watch yourself.
Watch yourself. There's a couple of acolytes on this side. There is another Reaver on this side. This time we actually get to see them. They look pretty cool. They explode when they die. They probably deal damage when they explode as well, so be a little careful with that. If we walk towards this screen, then some pillars will lower behind us for a full 30 seconds, so we can really enjoy this scene right here. I genuinely love that. I love how cheesy villain this whole section is, and I am in for it. I really like how they did that. But let's just destroy sentinels while we wait for these pillars to open once again. There is some things that we can pick up on this side as well. Not really too bothered about the lasers, but there is some med kits right here in case you were losing health. And over here there is yet another ammo satchel. So we're getting, yeah, we're getting a decent amount of those, which also means we're getting a decent amount of poison bolts this way, which is really nice, obviously. Moving along, yet another Reaver, which we're just gonna rocket, and then we're just gonna shoot rockets at everything here that moves. The flamethrower is honestly not a terrible weapon for this section, just because this place is so cramped. But it's very easy to run into a burning body, and when you do that, you take an actually decent chunk of damage, just like the acolytes do, and that's why they catch fire so quickly whenever that happens. So do be careful. When you press this switch right here, it lowers some stairs. There is a bunch of acolytes all standing next to each other, and you can just easily destroy at least most of them by just shooting some grenades down there. Moving further up ahead, there is going to be some Crusaders and acolytes and whatnot. One thing about this map in particular is that to actually progress all the way to the end of the level, you need to destroy all the Crusaders, which is usually something that happens fairly organically because there's just a lot of enemies, and the thing about Crusaders is that they're quite loud and destructive, so you're usually struggling to ignore them. But if you are stuck in this level somehow, you've probably missed a Crusader somewhere. Anyway, let's grab some rockets, let's get some of these. If we go down on this side, there is a strange rocky area with a bunch of bodies inside it. There is, however, one secret door right here, which has some extra rockets and another surgery kit. We have maxed out on those, so we're just gonna leave that alone. And you can either use this jumping puzzle to get back up or use this as an elevator to go all the way back up, and I am electing for the elevator as it's just a little bit easier. Moving on ahead. Watch out that the further you walk in this level, the more doors you're going to open, and some of them house Crusaders. That one opened one over here and one over here as well. There we go. And a little further up ahead, there is going to be sentinels. You can hear the beep boops of the enemies as we're trying to go forwards. When we walk through that little hallway there, it opened up this center area with some more Crusaders inside it. The grenade launcher is such a good weapon for this section because Crusaders die very quickly to these grenades. Usually if you can get two good shot with the grenade launcher, they're almost always dead, so, or at least very close to dead, so it's very nice. Further up ahead is some strange alcoves with sentinels inside them, and we're just gonna deal with those. There is some acolytes shooting at us in the distance, but they don't bother me too much. Let's go deal with the beep boops right there. One more Crusader. This might actually be the last Crusader. And that's also why it's just not very obvious that you actually have to kill all the Crusaders, just because they will all run towards you. So you're probably dealing with them anyway. Shooting some more sentinels in this strange alcove as well. I'm deliberately not going into these side areas right now because that causes some counting problems. I'll explain what that means in a second. But for now, we're just going to deal with the remaining acolytes. To make sure that we have actually destroyed all these Crusaders, you can see that there are some openings there, otherwise that area would be blocked off. So that is an indicator that all the Crusaders are dead. There is, however, a whole bunch of acolytes still alive. They all teleport in these side areas. These teleporters will have 7 acolytes each coming out of them. And I am counting because if you run into this area and they're not all dead yet, then they can telefrag you, which is a worry. So I'd rather not get telefragged and instead just live. So that's exactly what we're going to try to do. There is a similar one on the other side as well. There's always at least one that's pretty much always teleported in, and then the remaining 6 will come up.
Acolyte. The new taste sensation.
Wow, this Blackbird actually said the thing that I was talking about when you kill a bunch of acolytes with the burning corpse. That actually didn't happen last time, so hopefully I don't die in a second, because we are going to the boss. We are going to the programmer. We are going to run up these stairs by jumping repeatedly and hopefully do it quick enough. We're just going to be shooting at the programmer as well. He shoots these lightning bolts. They deal so much damage. We're lowering that wall in particular. There is a secret area behind it with a bunch of stuff. And now that we've done that, we can just gather up some remaining stuff here and then start fighting the programmer. The programmer has 2 attacks. It's a melee attack and that lightning bolt attack. They both hurt like hell, so don't get hit. You can stun the programmer quite a lot, but you do need to actually get some sort of line of sight on him this way. I don't love fighting him on this pyramid because he tends to go up a lot and I can't shoot up very well. But hopefully he can stop doing that. And you know what? Let's just go here. Let's just wait here for a moment. The programmer will come down eventually, unless he's stuck on the pyramid or something, which he might actually be. How did this even happen? That's unusual. That's one I haven't seen before. I wonder if you could just cheese him like this then. He's also unhittable. That's a... Hang on. What did we do? Okay. So he's not completely invincible. He's just stuck on something or another on this. He's like stuck on the torch or something. I don't know. That's real weird. I've never actually seen this happen before. I don't like... Oh, hey, we did it. There he is dead. And the moment he dies, you get teleported back to the front base, or at least an area that has Maisel in it.
Good. You're conscious again. When you grab that item the programmer dropped, you let loose some terrible secrets.
What kind of secrets?
Fragments assembled from the programmer's files tell us that the Order is worshipping an intelligent weapon. They call it the Sigil. The piece you touched and recovered is one of 5. It wields power drawn from the user's own life force. While you live, you control its power. The shock which knocked you out was the Sigil piece tuning itself to you, your pulse and brainwaves. You can wield it, but at a cost. It will drain you dry. One piece constitutes awesome power. Possession of all 5 pieces would be devastating and would give the user total control of the planet. We have no idea where this weapon came from, but we must find out. You have wrested one from the Order, but we must have all 5. We have reached the limits of my knowledge. Seek out the Oracle and ask it for help.
I want stuff.
Here's some gold. Go visit the medic and the weapons trainer, and then move out.
Okay.
Fight for the front and freedom. Move out.
So, kind of an unorthodox programmer fight, I suppose, but it
The Oracle
worked
Temple
out.
is in the Borderlands, on the outskirts of town.
Yeah, so anyway, the front has moved into the castle, which is wonderful. This is one of the reasons why you can't go back, because it's technically not the same level anymore. So none of the enemies exist, and you can't deal with them. The programmer's keep has been destroyed. It is just blocked off by walls, and I think the training facility is similarly blocked off as well. Didn't even really point out these fountains when we were at it, but there's some cool looking fountains in this place as well. Anyway, like Maisel said, let's go here, talk to the medic, get another implant, upgrade, whatever. That's another plus 10 stamina. And over here we have a whole bunch of text and an accuracy upgrade. And we have Justin, who is capable of selling us all sorts of things, including a teleporter beacon, which is something we hadn't actually seen before. But you can use teleporter beacons to summon 6 front soldiers to fight alongside you. It's a pretty good deal. But I have no real specific place where I am really considering using one. I mostly thought about using one to take over the town, but I ended up doing that earlier than the first option to get a teleporter beacon, so it ended up not really being worthwhile. Anyway, in this section there is a couple of ammo pickups available. There is some phosphorus grenade rounds, which I haven't actually mentioned that the grenade launcher has a secondary fire. And we'll just try it out in the Borderlands because it's a bit of a mess. Over here there is some more bullets. There is the heat grenades, and down there are some more bullets that you can pick up as well. You can use the elevator to get down. We also got the weapon from the programmer, which we were holding earlier. It's an interesting weapon, but I don't want to use it here because then I think everyone's going to get mad at me, and that's not so great. Moving a little further ahead, if we go inside this structure, we can enter this cave where there is some gold, some bullets, some poison bolts, and some more phosphorus grenades. We have 43 poison bolts right now, which is looking pretty good. And let us just leave. We can just take the front entrance here. There is now a teleporter available here as well. You can use it to get back to Maisel a little bit quicker. I don't think that's immediately available until you actually walk all the way here, which is a shame. And with this, we're going to do a couple things.
The Oracle is a supposedly sympathetic high priest who operates outside of the Order.
Yeah. So with that in hand, we are going to do a couple things, because there's a couple things currently available to show off. First of all, the shops now actually sell metal armor for less money than they did beforehand. Also, the moment you say what kind of secrets to Maisel, that's when the town alarm becomes less effective, I suppose, where it'll just summon less enemies. It'll still summon enemies here, I think, but the rest of the summoners, or the rest of the enemy teleporters are just blocked off at that point, so they can't really get to you. I believe this guy also sells poison bolts now for 200 and some other ammo types as well. And it's all in all just a pretty good deal. We can also go to the old front base right here. Just move in there. This is now also very much cleared out. There is some rats available. They're just sort of walking around. This wall still opens up. With this still lowering, there is still a bunch of pickups now available in this new version of the map. And also this strange little door here actually has stuff inside it as well now. So you can actually get a little bit more things than the nothing that is originally here. Over here there is a bunch of ammo and a whole bunch of gold waiting for you as well. And we can actually go through this to move on. I forget if there's anything over here. There might be some healing items, yeah. Which we don't currently need, but, you know, in case you ever need them, they might be here. This is all emptied out. And then there is one more thing that, well, two more things that we can still get, actually. First of all, we can go to the secret area that we visited previously. This place is all empty. Oh, some gold. That's nice. This place right here, inside the elevator, once again, you can go through the fake wall for some bullets. This also counts as a secret area for the achievement. And then a little bit further up ahead, I believe there is a teleporter beacon right there, yeah. So we can just use that instead of having to buy one. If ever we wanted to summon 6 people, which isn't going to happen that much, but you know, it's a nice option, I suppose. There is also some more bullets waiting for you in the water here. There's just a lot of bullets in this place right now, so definitely worthwhile if you are ever in need of some free bullets. And the rats are pretty cute anyway, so there's plenty of reason ultimately. Don't think you can attack the rats even, they're just good friends. It's just nice. Anyway, as I said in the previous video, there were still some enemies left in the sewers that we have to deal with, and now we have the weapon that can deal with them. Let's just take this door actually, it's probably easier. We can just get that, equip our environmental suit, so we don't have to look at the green flashing the entire time. The programmer's weapon works pretty much the same way as the program was using it, really. You just use it and then it starts shooting lightning all over the place. It doesn't hurt us anymore, so that is wonderful. But like the story said, you do take a little bit of damage every time you use it. It costs 4 health to use, and it's a little bit awkward to use in general, but it does work if your enemy is behind a wall, like the case that we have over here. So we're just gonna shoot sort of wildly until we hear death. I'm not hearing the other one die. But he might have teleported here. Yeah, he did. Because once the enemy is no longer stuck, the other one can actually take the regular teleporter and just arrive where he normally would. And that's why once one of them died, the other one managed to run away. Even though they're in the exact same spot. So it's kind of surprising one of them survived, but yeah, fair enough. So I used up like 30 health there just to kill those 2 enemies. But ultimately I'd say it's a neat contingency plan for a strange problem, so I'll take it. Anyway, that's the sewers taken care of, so that's wonderful. I think that's just about it for the town. So with that in mind, let's just take some bullets. And yeah, let's just go to the Borderlands. We can show off our secondary fire with a grenade launcher as well.
The Order has taken our beautiful planet and turned it into a dump.
Speaking of which, once you have the programmer's weapon, the skybox turns red, which I think is a neat change as well. If you go over here, let's just get all of our friends nice and close to each other. Let's actually just wake everyone up here as well. Bunch of stalkers in this place, some rockets getting shot in our direction. And I am going to shoot some phosphorus grenades right there and on myself. I use an environmental suit because these flames they stay around for a while. But with the environmental suit, you can just walk through it without taking damage. But these flames just destroy so many things. But they also kind of push you around in the Veteran Edition at least. So you do have to be a little careful with them. But it's a very good way of dealing large quantities of damage to an area for a long period of time. It's just a little awkward to use without an environmental suit because it takes so long for those flames to dissipate. So it's a little bit awkward to wait for, but certainly not the worst thing in the world. There is some health pickups on the side areas here as well. I killed the Crusader basically away from the place where he spawns because it's just a little bit easier to deal with some of the other things. I wonder if I could do this actually. Yeah, the programmer's weapon is also just a pretty good weapon in general if you can get the lightning bolts to cooperate. There, you might be able to sort of see how it works, but there is a very tiny circle that's just sort of moving around whenever you use it. And based on that circle is where those lightning bolts spawn. I think the circle is stuck on something right now. But it's very awkward to use, but if it hits, it'll probably kill the enemy you're shooting at. So all in all, it's usable, but it's hard to justify the taking damage part of the weapon at the end of the day when you have so many other weapons that are also quite good available. So, I'm kind of in two minds about it, but I can see there's definitely pros and cons to using the weapon, and ultimately it does destroy the enemy if you can get the weapon to hit, so certainly not a bad deal. Anyway, let's move on. There is plenty of acolytes here, but we can take care of those with relative ease. You don't really need to go into this area immediately, but there is a lot of pickups here, so I just like to get some of them while we are here anyway. Some extra bullets, some extra rockets, a whole bunch of health, and a door we can't presently open, so we'll just leave that alone. Yeah, alright. Also, we can use this terminal as a thing to jump on top of. You can also jump on some bushes a little bit further up ahead and then go all the way here. If you go here, you can pull this switch that lowers, and then if you go through this new door, a secret area will be found. And the main reason why I'm doing it that way, and not, for instance, this way, is because you actually need to walk through the door to trigger the secret area. But you can definitely get all the items inside the secret area without triggering it if that's what you want to do. So that's nice, I suppose. Also, the reason why I killed that Crusader all the way there, wherever it was earlier, is so we don't accidentally destroy these barrels, because there is a surgery kit and some extra ammo right here. And if this barrel's gone, you basically can't get it anymore, so nice to just get it that way as well. There is also a teleporter available here now. It will take you back to this tiny room, but also back to the front base where Maisel is waiting for you. So this is just a neat little shortcut in case you ever want to take it. And with that, we can finally move on to the rest of the game.
Here it is. I'm recording everything. It's not that I don't have faith that you'll survive. It's just that we can't let the Order control the sigil.
Also, since we've gotten so many stamina upgrades at this point, our punching attack is pretty much going to kill all of these stalkers in 1 or 2 hits. So it is actually becoming worthwhile to use this as a damaging option now, and to actually conserve some ammo every now and then. Because, yeah, it is actually becoming really, really powerful, and with each stamina upgrade, it does become gradually stronger, and eventually it destroys worlds. There is some red acolytes here as well. They drop a key when you kill them. That key is required to press this blue head switch, which will open up that door into the Oracle's temple. I want to say it's called the Oracle's Temple. This one also drops a similar key, but there's actually 2 ways to get inside the temple. One way is just through the front door over there. And let me just grab all these consumables as well. Another way has to do with one torch here not being lit. If we use that torch, it will lower the water on the side. And there's a couple places you can go. First of all, you can go through this teleporter to go back up, but it also gives you a view of some consumables that are otherwise fairly easy to miss, because you're entering the cave from here, and you just barely can't see them. But from there you can, and there is a elevator right here. Once you get there, that'll lower, and from there you can actually pick up all of this stuff, which is wonderful. I'm also going to use a surgery kit, and we'll find out why I'm using one later. First, let's once again go down the water and go further along the path. This also takes you inside the Temple of the Oracle, but from a different spot. So from here, we can just follow the path, and this way you can actually do this level without fighting a single enemy in the game. It's in the whole game, but also just mostly in this level. There is a small jumping puzzle that you have to do. Usually this is fine. There is another ammo satchel here as well. You can press this to raise a bridge to that cave. There is another switch on the other side as well. And with that second switch, we can go through this door, get another surgery kit that we just used, so that's wonderful. You can wait for the bridge to come all the way up. It is a very doable jump as well, so you don't really need to worry about it too much. Moving on from there, there will be a switch that you can use to lower the elevator. And it's a big one. It's a big elevator, but once you go all the way back to the top, there'll be 2 enemies in the next chamber that are going to get crushed. It's a terrible sound effect. It's two enemy types that we haven't even seen yet so far. But I'd like to get this ammo if we can. Unfortunately, the ammo got crushed as well, but we'll see more of those enemies as we progress through the game. This is the Temple of the Oracle. There is plenty of people hanging out here. Don't worry about them too much.
Are we really supposed to trust a guy whose inner sanctum is green?
And also, how cool is this? How cool is this room? This is such a neat looking area. Very, very memorable place. If you walk up the stairs, that teleporter will open to take you out of the level. We'll actually use some of these poison balls that we have since we're basically maxed out at this point to kill some of these enemies. And we can talk to the Oracle.
What is the wisdom you seek, simple one?
Yes.
I feel one fragment resonate within you. The second lies at the heart of the Crimson and Obsidian Tower. There you must combat the Bishop, who is aware and awaits you. You will find him by following his symbol of power. Take this token to the Key Master. Return to me after you have slain the beast.
We'll
Although
do
the
that.
Bishop is formidable, this quest is slight. Return to me when you possess the next fragment.
Thanks, bye. Okay, cool. So,
Crimson and obsidian? Why can't he say red and black?
don't worry about it. From here, we can actually get this item right here, which gives a little Doom 64 reference when you pick it up. Once you have all of those, it'll actually do something, but until then, not so much. This door opens once you've done all of that, and we can see the new enemy type that we saw earlier. It is the Templar. We can talk to them. And they have some interesting things to say for sure. But for the most part, they have kind of a weird looking shotgun, and we are just going to destroy these right now, because they become a bit of an issue otherwise. They deal a lot of damage, and well, we will be going through the level normally as well to just get all the kills, but it is nice to get these top ones out of the way, because with the high ground, they actually are pretty annoying to kill. So with this, it's just a little bit easier to deal with later. With that though, let's actually go to the Key Master and get that token that we had to get. Yeah, I'll just actually do that now. There is, I'll go through the Oracle's thing in a minute.
The Bishop is the Order's military leader. He plots their tactics, runs their spies, and is charged with controlling us. We off him and we score twice.
We scored twice. There's the Key Master.
A lot of people would say this is a thankless and insignificant job, but it's not. In fact,
Key.
Okay, but remember, I'm the Key Master.
He is the Key Master.
I'm the Key Master.
That's what he says. That's the thing he says. So I think once we have the Oracle pass and all that good stuff, I think that's the point where you can go all the way back here in town and open this one door. Yeah, and that has some stuff in it, in case you wanted some rockets and some ammo. Yeah, it's a bit unusual that that door is attached to that key, but sure, I suppose. With the key that we acquired, we can go inside this building right here by using that keypad. First of all, though, I'm going to clear out the Order's temple, or the Oracle's temple, rather. And then we're going to end the video because I don't want to go into the fortress just yet. So first, let us take the regular entrance. There is going to be some acolytes. There's going to be some stalkers. All sorts of nasty business in this first room that we can easily dispatch of. Once again, if you want, you can just punch them out because we deal a lot of damage. There's another stalker on the ceiling here. There's actually so many enemies that you can just kill with the melee attack now. Definitely not the Templars, that new enemy type, but some of the other ones, very doable, which is very nice. I think in this room there's going to be
Why
a
do we
use...
have to spend so much time underground? I've seen underground.
If we can just get some lightning bolt action going on here. Just use a little bit of health to get a lot of those to fall down. Hopefully we can clear out a whole bunch of these enemies. Very nice. Nice, they're all dead. Most of them are dead. Except for that one. And ultimately, using weapons that take your health, it does save ammo at the end of the day, so it's kind of worthwhile. Another cool thing is the entrance that I took earlier, where you have to interact with a torch that's not turned on to get to that path. You can also just jump in the water here, and you can basically take the rest of the path the same way as well. Like, this door won't be openable unless you have pulled on that torch and went through that entrance, but you can still go through the non-enemy route for the rest of this place. So it is still kind of nice in that way, so you don't have to interact with a torch that's been turned off. This will take you back upstairs again. Next room will have a Templar. There is this teleporter. I'm going to talk about that in a second, because that teleporter opened the moment that we walked up to the Oracle. And it's kind of an unusual one, because if you go in here, you're going to enter this room. It's just a big square with 4 different teleporters inside it, just somewhere here. And I think this might just be a dev room or something like that, or like as a shortcut room, because all 4 teleporters just go to different places. This one just goes back to where you came from, but it's very unusual, because I think there's only one way to get into that room as well. It's just odd, and I think it's neat. From here, I'm going to first walk to that pillar right there, shoot some grenades, destroy the Templar quickly because he deals a lot of damage. This door right now is closed. I'll get back to that in a minute. When you open these side doors, it's going to reveal some sentinels as well, which you have to be a little worried about, but other than that, mostly just good stuff. And over here there is a barrel on that side as well, so we're just going to use the flamethrower to kill this Templar so we don't accidentally destroy that barrel. He hit us once and it deals like 30 damage. I think that's on the lower amount of what they can do. Pull this switch and kill the 2 sentinels once again. The reason why we're trying so hard not to destroy that barrel is specifically so we can actually get in here and get that med pack. So all in all, good stuff. Let's get this one as well. Get some extra grenades, because grenades are a good time if you are in a room that is big. The moment you're in a small room, very scary to use, but in rooms like this with a single Crusader inside it and some Sentinels hanging out at the top, don't mind it so much. I think if you stay close to Crusaders, they generally just keep using the flamethrowers, so again, if you have one of those environmental suits, then just stay close to them, and usually you won't get hit by rockets, but I don't know if they can't use the rocket launcher if you're close to them, so be a little careful. When you walk through that door, to push this switch, it's going to reveal a bunch more Sentinels, which we're just going to shoot 2 rockets at each. But we mostly press that switch to open that one button where I very explicitly said it was closed earlier. I think next to that one. Interesting. It also opens up these staircases right here, so this one as well, which are otherwise not as accessible, so that is quite nice. But I prefer to take this door right here because it brings you to the high ground and it allows you to kill some enemies just a little bit easier. I think that Acolyte might be one of them. No, maybe not actually. Not sure which enemies you can actually see from here and which ones you ordinarily can't. The button that we have here, I think this switch raises some bars usually. Similarly, there's a switch down there that I think does the same. No, this switch reveals the switch that opens the bars, but I think because we went to the Oracle, they might have just opened regularly as well. There are some Templars down there going wah, which is why we're just gonna shoot some grenades until we don't hear that sound anymore, and then the scary times will be over. Because I think ordinarily this place is blocked off and you won't be able to just walk in here, but because we did the Oracle stuff, the switch is just there in case you didn't. That takes you to the end of that section. Let's just push this button for good luck, and then we can go all the way back up here.
You're brave, my comrade. I'm proud to be along for the ride.
Hell yeah. And there is some consumables down there and there as well, in case you want some extra rockets. I don't really want to walk all the way around. But one more thing that we're going to do, this is kind of a not really specific to the Veteran Edition, but probably best done in the Veteran Edition, is we're going to attack in the Oracle room. The reason I say this is if you accidentally kill the Oracle in the non-Veteran Edition, bad stuff happens. But in the Veteran Edition, you cannot currently kill the Oracle. So we're going to shoot once, and then we're just going to run away. This is going to spawn in a whole bunch of enemies, and all of these can also very easily telefrag you. So we are just going to create some flames in this very big room. And we're hopefully just going to deal with most of them this way. Once again showing off the destructive power of these grenades, because my god. They last for so long. Also, some things you might be able to notice right now is these praying people that also kind of have the face of the Oracle. They're just holograms. They disappear when you shoot them too much, but I think that's a neat little touch right there. Now let's deal with these remaining acolytes. Hopefully that's all of them teleported in. It's nice to get these out of the way now. Later on they're going to be a problem, so now they won't be a problem anymore because they're all gone. So all in all, pretty good stuff. So with all of that done, that more or less concludes this video. We are just going to walk over to the place we're going to visit next, which is the fortress right here. But because we picked up the key from the Keymaster already, we can just open this door and continue, but we'll do that next time. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Next time we play, we will be going into the fortress, and I hope to see y'all there. Bye-bye. Turns out I did actually forget about at least one enemy in the Temple of the Oracle. It's kind of an obscure one, actually, but there is a wall that opens when you get somewhat close to it. It is right here. It has one Templar behind it, and it also holds some med packs and things in case you were running low. But that is that taken care of. With that, we can go back through the teleporter onwards to the fortress, and that is exactly where I will see y'all next time.